Well, good morning everyone, and you join me on what is looking as though it's going to be quite a nice bright morning, though this is August Bank Holiday 2020, and it is, rather than being sort of 5 o'clock in the morning as I like to be out, it's actually 6:30. It shows how much light we've lost. And I'm walking along this footpath, nice tranquil scene here with the sheep, and as you can see I'm quite a way up high, and you ask, oh, here we are folks. For those of you who like trig points, here is another one, and I'll let you know where it is in a moment. I've just got to negotiate some bracken here, because I don't think anybody's been along this footpath for quite a while. But here is what I've brought you to see. And if we hear pheasants in the distance, I wonder if any of you watching this will know what I'm looking at. So let me tell you where I am. I'm actually up on the Battle Ridge, and I'm at Wood's Corner. That's where the trig point is, Wood's Corner. Can you hear that pheasant? Now, those of you of a certain age from this fine county of ours, if I said the name Mad Jack Fuller, everybody would go, oh yes. They'd go, the Sugarloaf or Brightling Needle. And this morning's little jaunt is entitled By Furnace and Tongs, which is the family motto of Squire John Fuller, otherwise known as Mad Jack. And I'm just standing here because what we're looking at is a view over Brightling Park, which was the family estate of the Fullers. Now, everybody knows him as Mad Jack because of his eccentricities, and he was a well-known drunk, that's for sure. He was actually born in Southampton, or thereabouts, in 1757. And 23 years later, he was elected to Parliament. I've just come round here because you can actually see, it's a bit dark, but it's said that this has been lived in at various times, and it's been a shepherd's hut and all sorts of things, but it's quite strongly constructed. Now, unfortunately, people today would say one of the downsides to Jack Fuller, his family were very wealthy. They made their money from the Sussex iron industry, because up here in these hills is iron, or was iron, and they also made a lot of money from the importation of sugar. They owned sugar plantations in the West Indies and had slaves. He was a supporter of slavery. I don't really want to go into a debate about that. Let's just say, I think he was probably, if you could say there were better slavers, he probably was, because he advocated good welfare for his particular workers. And at the time, that kind of thing was considered the norm. So I think that's all I will say. I'm not here to create a political argument, political debate. That's what the situation was with Jack Fuller. But he was certainly a patron of the arts, and he was a philanthropist, and he spent a lot of money basically because he had a lot of money, I suppose. But it came at a time when the iron industry was contracting, and there was a lot of unemployment in rural areas. Now, a lot of the things that he built, you just couldn't. We know not the reason why he built them. This, there was a definite reason, and he made a stupid bet with a friend of his one night that he could see the spire of Dallington Church from his home in Brightling, which of course he couldn't, and when he woke up sober in the morning he suddenly realised he couldn't. So he had the sugar loaf built, so that and he put it there, and when of course his friend came to stay with him and looked out the window, he could see what he thought was the spire of Dallington Church, so obviously he won his bet. It's called a sugar loaf because at that particular time, when sugar was imported into England, it came in pyramid-shaped containers called loaves. Hence we call it the sugar loaf. But as you could see while I was walking round it, it had a door and it was quite tall, you could light a fire in there, and it's been said it's been used. Various people who roam the land have lived in it, and it's also been a shepherd's accommodation. So that was one of the things that Jack Fuller built, and they're known as follies. And there are several around Brightling Park. And my purpose this morning is to take you on a little trip around Brightling Park and see what we can see. Now I can't promise too much because over the years bits of Brightling Park have been sold off and most of his follies are now on private land. But we'll certainly see what we can see. But I just wanted to bring you along the road here because I want to come to this farm gate. Now the trouble at this time of year is of course we've lost the very early morning light, so when it does get light more people are about. Now let's just show you how high up we are here, because I'm looking back over towards Eastbourne now. Sorry there's a bit of wind on this side, but I want to try and zoom in because I don't know if you can see them in the distance, but we can see the wind turbines, and if I can just, I'll zoom back again for a minute because way over in the distance there, and I'm trying to see roughly where it is Southcliffe Tower. And if I can zoom in on that, I should be a very lucky man this morning, because a lot of the time it goes out of focus when you're looking that distance. But anyway, I'm just going to pan gently round at that kind of distance, and you'll probably see the wind turbines there. That's gone out of focus again. Anyway, I think that's probably the best we're going to do, but you can get some idea of how high we are up here. I'm about 17 miles from Eastbourne, so it's certainly a good look. And as we look over this part, you're looking towards Ashburnham, and one of the greatest iron forges in this part of Sussex that was, and where at one time you could get quite a reasonable sized boat high enough up the inner reaches of what was Pevensey Bay at the time, and then these rivers were quite sizable, that would come up inland, 9-10 miles inland you could reach in order to load iron products and take them away. So anyway, let's go in search of something else. I'm standing at the side of another excuse me, magnificent view this morning. Down there, just below us, you can see the valley of the little river Dudwell. Over there in them hills, this is where excuse me, the River Rother begins its journey east to the sea at Rye. The Dudwell is a tributary, and up in the hills that you can see opposite, there are more tributaries of the Rother. As you can see, it's a lovely view. And I'll be looking more closely at the River Rother next year. A horse enjoying a morning's breakfast. Now, I don't know if you can see that. There it is. That pointy thing. That is what's known as the Brightling needle. Nobody knows why Fuller built it. One theory is that it was his own little tribute to the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. But like a lot of things, we should probably never know. There's some pigs through there. Oh, and some dogs. I don't know if I can get any closer to have a look at the needle for you, but I certainly don't want to disturb people and their Monday morning rest, so I'll walk away from there, see if I can get a better view of the needle through the trees, which I can't. So what I'll do, I'll go a little further down the road. Well, I hope the people of Moat Farm won't mind me just parking in their driveway for a couple of seconds, because I had a good view of the needle as I come along the road here, and now I've lost it. Isn't that strange? Ah. I'm going to see if I can, by lifting that up, whether you can see it any better. There we are. So much private property around here, and it's fiercely protected, as I think it's quite understandable. But there you have it. That's a closer view. Mad Jack Fuller's obelisk, the Brightling needle. I'm not having a very good morning this morning, am I? Everywhere these things are, I suppose if I came in the middle of winter, when there wasn't so much trees and that about, I'd probably be able to see plenty. Oh well. Onwards and upwards, as they say. I don't think I'm going to be able to get a view through those trees that's any better than I've seen before. No. Right. I'm going to search for an observatory now, so bear with me. Now, I really am out in the wilds of Sussex here, and up on the hill there, on the top of the hill, you will see another of Jack Fuller's buildings. This one isn't actually a folly, or wasn't. He did actually provide the money for this for a purpose. And as you can see, I don't think it is in use as an observatory anymore, but he built it as a fully working observatory. And at the time it was fitted out with the very best equipment available. Once again, it's now on private land and access is extremely limited, to say the least, and nil at 7:15 on a Sunday, not Sunday is it, bank holiday Monday morning. But anyway, there it is. That is the observatory. And of course Fuller, it became, and we're really out in the wilds here, so I'm going to take a walk around this little triangle for the sake of having a walk while I chat. As I say, Fuller, he was MP for Southampton and Sussex, and provided money for a good many things. And the people of Eastbourne benefited, because I've spoken to you before about Fuller providing the funds for the Beltute Lighthouse. What's perhaps a little less known is that Squire John Fuller also provided the funds for Eastbourne's first lifeboat, the Samaritan, in 1822. Yeah, didn't know that, did you? Neither did I till I looked a bit further into it. And as we've seen my video before about Bodgham Station, when it was in danger of being demolished in the early 1800s, I think it was, late 1700s, Fuller provided the funds. He bought Bodgham Castle and saved it from demolition. Had he not done so, I think it's fair to say that it wouldn't be here today for us to enjoy, even though it's only a shell of what it once was, but it provides a link to history. I just walked up here to... Oh, I'm glad I did walk up here. Oh, look at that. Now, that's looking down the Darwell Valley, this side. River Dubwell is way over to the left. And down in there, we don't talk about iron, we talk about gypsum. Chalk downland, etc., etc. And that area there in that forest is the home of the British gypsum mines that have been there for absolutely donkey's years. And I was told when I was a boy that some of the shafts of those mines go right out into the English Channel. Now, bearing in mind you're some 10 miles or more inland here, now I'm my age, find that a little bit hard to believe, but you never know, do you? It certainly is a very, very extensive mine, that's for sure. Let me just get another view of the observatory here. Yeah, Maybe a slightly better view from here. Yeah. I'm certainly quite high up, aren't I? That's for sure. Lovely, fresh country air. But as I say, being very realistic, this will be the last bit of filming I do, if you like to call it, on location this year. We've lost the early morning light that I like to have very early in the morning, and well, quite frankly it's starting to get a bit chilly these mornings. But it is nice to get out and have a bit of a walk round. But for the projects that I've got in mind for next year, I really am going to need those very early mornings again, because I have a bit of a way to travel before I can start filming. So there are a few things I might get to film later this year. I'm out for a day out or something like that. I'll take the camera with me and we'll see what we can find. But I think for now we'll go a bit further round the estate and see what else we can find.